I actually know a lot of companies that never use personality tests, and I'm like, how do you know what this candidate really can do? Personality tests are more than just, a fun quiz that you might take online. They actually give you valuable insights into how someone thinks, behaves, and interacts with others. So when you're hiring a virtual assistant, understanding these aspects can make a big difference in finding someone who not only gets the job done, but also fits very well with your team and your culture. So let's dive into a couple of personality tests that you can use for your company. I will tell you a little bit of details about each of them, but not to overwhelm you, but enough to just kind of get an idea of what you want to use for your company. If you're in the process of hiring a virtual assistant or an in-house employee, you probably know how challenging it can be to find the perfect fit. One of the best tools that you can use is a personality test because they give you that insight into who the candidate really is. So let's dive into a couple of personality tests that you can use for your company. I will tell you a little bit of details about each of them, but not to overwhelm you, but enough to just kind of get an idea of what you want to use for your company. So let's dive into how you can use this test to hire the best virtual assistant for your company. I actually know a lot of companies that never use personality tests, and I'm like, how do you know what this candidate really can do? Personality tests are more than just a fun quiz that you might take online. They actually give you valuable insights into how someone thinks, behaves, and interacts with others. So when you're hiring a virtual assistant, understanding these aspects can make a big difference in finding someone who not only gets the job done, but also fits very well with your team and your culture. So let's explore some of the most popular personality tests that can help you make an informed hiring decision. I'm not sponsored by any of this, so this is purely educational content. And don't worry, I'll try to keep it simple and to the point. All right, so the first one is Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI. The MBTI is all about understanding how people perceive the world and make decisions. It categorizes individuals into 16 personality types based on their preferences. For example, do they gain energy from being around people, which is extroversion, or being alone, which is introversion? Are they more practical, which is sensing, or imaginative, which is intuition? So here's why it's useful. Knowing your VA's MBTI type can help you understand how they process information and how they make decisions, which is very important for task management. For example, if you have an ISTJ, which is introverted, sensing, thinking, and judging personality, this person might excel at handling administrative tasks that require detail orientation, meticulous attention to detail, and adherence to schedules. The way this test works is it involves a series of questions about preferences in various scenarios, from decision-making to social interactions. So it helps pinpoint which of the 16 personality types they align with. What about the cost? It typically costs between $50 and $150, but there are free versions available online that can give you a pretty quick overview of how the candidate is. So while the free version is available and it provides some basic information, the paid version gives you a more detailed assessment of the candidate. The second one is very popular, it's DISC assessment. This tool, the DISC assessment, looks at 4 main traits. It's dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. So it helps you understand how someone might behave in a setting and how they approach tasks. This is why it's useful. If you need a virtual assistant who pays attention to detail and works independently, someone scoring high in consciousness might be your best fit, might be the best candidate. So this test is particularly useful for understanding how a potential virtual assistant might interact within a team on how they approach tasks. And the way it works, it's also very simple. Candidates respond to statements that reflect their behavior and attitudes. And the results help you see which of the 4 traits are more dominant, so that guides you to see how they might contribute to your team dynamics. The cost for DISC assessment usually ranges between $60 and $100, but you can keep an eye for bulk discounts, especially if you're testing multiple candidates. These assessments are very easy to administer and they can provide a quick read on the candidate behavior. The third one is very useful as well, and I'm hoping to pronounce it right. It's Enneagram. The Enneagram explores 9 personality types and they focus on motivations and emotional responses. So this is great for understanding what drives a candidate and how they handle stress. So why is it useful? If you're looking for a virtual assistant who thrives in a dynamic environment, someone who scores a type 3, which is the achiever, could be ideal. This type tends to be success-oriented and adaptable, which is excellent for fast-paced roles. So you can see how understanding the type of personality you're looking for and what the test offers, how you can find the best match, someone who aligns with what you need. This is how the test works. It involves introspective questions that help identify which of the 9 types they most align with. So it offers insights into their core motivations and potential challenges. The costs for this test are anywhere between $20 and $60, so it's definitely on the more affordable side. And of course, it has free versions available that offer basic insights as well. Free versions can give you a general sense of the type, and the paid versions provide a deeper dive into their behavioral patterns. Number 4 on our list is the Big 5 personality traits, and this test evaluates 5 major traits, which is openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. It's comprehensive and it gives a good overview of how someone might behave at work. The reason it's useful is because if creativity and problem solving are important for the role, you know what kind of candidate to look for. You look for a candidate with high openness. So the test is highly regarded for its ability to predict job performance and team fit. And it's on the more affordable side too. And the way it works is the candidates rate how much they agree or disagree with various statements. So that allows you to gauge their personality across the whole 5 dimensions. It's known for its scientific rigor and broad application. Now, what about the cost? The Big 5 assessment costs between $20 and $100 depending on the depth of the report. Free versions, again, can provide a quick overview, making it accessible if you're looking for a preliminary screening. We have 2 more tests on this list, and I'm going to show you the last one, which I am very well familiar with because we used it in one of the companies I used to work for. But the number 5 is predictive index, or PI. The predictive index helps you understand a candidate's behavioral drives, cognitive abilities, and it focuses on traits like dominance and patience. And it's very popular. Predictive index has been gaining in popularity lately. And the reason it's useful is because it's a great at assessing the fit for specific roles and predicting how a candidate might interact with others. The tool is particularly useful for tailoring roles to match a candidate's natural inclinations, so it enhances job satisfaction and performance. This is how it works. The assessment involves 2 simple lists of adjectives where candidates choose the words they feel describe them. And then it quickly maps their behavioral style. The cost for predictive index can range from $250 to $500 annually for small teams as part of a package deal. And it's more substantial investment, but it provides a robust insight into the team dynamics and role fit. Last but not least, let's use culture index. I am very well familiar with this. We actually used it for for the companies that I worked with. And I know I'm a trailblazer, and it has been very accurate for us. It is more on the expensive side, but I found that it's pretty accurate. So let's talk about culture index. This tool assesses how a candidate's work style aligns with your company culture. So it predicts the great fit, enhances team productivity, and so on. So if you're looking to align a candidate's values with your team culture, this is a great tool because you understand candidate's cultural fit, then you can see whether or not they would be a good addition to your company. And the way it works is very simple. You're also given a list of adjectives that you get to choose from, and then you see which ones resonate with you more. So candidates complete the survey about their work preferences and behaviors and also about themselves. So it has 2 components. One, describe yourself the way you are, choose the adjectives from the list. And the second one is choose the adjectives that you think you need to have in order to be successful in this role. So it kind of shows you what they're naturally good at and what they need to work on or what they think they need to work on in order to be successful for this job. So it provides some really good insights. Now, the cost. The subscription can range from $3,000 to $10,000 per year. It's an annual cost. So it's a significant investment for optimizing talent acquisition. Yes, it's expensive, but again, I found it to be very accurate. The description that I got about myself and also for the team members of the company I worked for, the team dynamics, the company I worked for, we used this tool to make a cohesive team, and we were so happy. There was no drama. Everyone worked very well together. I'm not sure if it's because of the company culture or because of this personality test, but this is just my findings. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of this. It's just something that I'm probably most familiar with because of my experience. So now that you know the basics, how do you use this test in hiring a virtual assistant? First of all, you gotta start by defining the traits that are most important for the role, and then select 1 or 2 tests that align with those characteristics. If you notice here, when I gave a description of all these tests, they kind of sound the same, right? They kind of measure the same thing. They measure how you would behave at work. They measure what's important to you. They measure a lot of different traits that are, pretty similar. So you just gotta decide what works best for your budget, what works best for your needs. I made a very quick description about each of them so you see which one you align with the most. And then once you understand what kind of candidate you need, then you select one of these tests that align with those characteristics and put the virtual assistants through these tests. So when you're giving these tests, just be transparent with the candidates about why you're using them. Use the results to guide your interview questions and discussions, and it helps you go deeper into how a candidate's traits play out in real-world scenarios. This is how we used to hire virtual assistants. We run a couple of personality profiles, personality tests, but it also helps us understand what is their motivation, and this is also a great point at asking them at the interview, do you agree with these results? Do you see yourself in those results? And if they say no, then we ask them questions and try to go deeper into why we're getting these results from the candidate and it's not aligned with what they say. So it's a very interesting tool, and I can tell you that a lot of the times it is very accurate. We have hired people before without looking at personality profiles just because they had a great resume or just because they presented themselves so well at the interview, and then the relationship didn't work. So then we looked at the personality profile, personality test, and we understood why this happens. Like, oh, okay, well, we didn't know how to manage that person. We put him in a position that is very detail-oriented when this person is not detail-oriented at all. Even though they have experience and even though they say at the interview that they prefer to work with details, it just shows that the way they are hardwired, it's not compatible with the job we put them through. So this is, again, we try to make it a habit not to hire outside of the personality profiles that we really need. But also just keep in mind that personality tests are just one part about the hiring process. Just like I said, we never hire without running a personality profile of some sort. We also don't solely rely on that either, because that could be an erroneous decision as well. That would not help us make an informed decision. We also have to take into account the whole ensemble of what the person can do, how they present themselves at the interview, personality profile, reference check. There's so much more going into finding the right person. But this is one very important step. So, like I said, encourage the candidate to share their thoughts on their test results and how they relate to their experience. This is what we do at Hire Train VA. I hope you found that useful. Let us know in the comments what personality profile you're using or personality test you're using for your team, or which one are you planning on using and why. There are a lot of videos online available about each one of them that goes into detail, but these are the ones that I have tried before, I have heard, I've used. My team actually uses them, me not so much, because I'm out of that department, but this is something that we have used to see results. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Bye.